happens if you make a really big mistake? What happens if you screw something up so bad financially, emotionally, politically that it ruins your career, maybe your marriage?
Welcome to Leading Leaders Podcast, 5-minute videos, 5 days a week.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. You would be amazed how many people live a life of constant fear because they've never really had anyone give them a high five or give them a hug and just simply say, "You're okay. You're going to be okay. I'm proud of you. I care about you. I love you. And no matter how bad you screw up, that will still be true." Now, I want you to take a minute just for yourself as a leader, as an influencer, maybe as a parent, as a business owner, as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as someone that other people look to for influence, for guidance, for insight, for wisdom. Are you the kind of person who's confident that even if you screw it up, the people who care about you right now will still care about you after you've screwed up? Are you the kind of person who says, "I've screwed up so many times in the past, I really don't even care what people think. I don't care if they love me or not. I don't care if they are concerned about me or not"? I saw a meme on Facebook the other day, and it said, "If I called you and said I'd been arrested, what would you think it was for?" That's an interesting question all by itself. You might play that little game with your closest loved ones because the surprising things that could come out of their mouth might shock you. The things that they secretly suspect you of, the things that they believe about you to be true, even though there's no evidence yet. See, those are the kinds of things that we all need to be aware of, but we also need to know that deep in our heart, if we do screw up, there's somebody who will still raise their hand and go, "I love you." That doesn't mean that consequences don't come. That doesn't mean you don't pay the price for screwing something up. It just means you're not utterly rejected and left alone. See, I find in this generation, and probably in the last 10 generations, there's been a big gap between the confidence to know that you are loved and accepted no matter what, and the way we actually live. I believe that there are so many people who, even with their own children, even with their own team members, even with their own employees, or maybe even with their own spouse, they've suspended their judgment for another time just in case their judgment was wrong. They're not all in. They're not willing as a leader to say, "I believe in you no matter what happens. I will stand behind you no matter what happens." We talk about customer loyalty. We talk about employee loyalty, the guys that will show up at work on a regular basis even if the weather's bad, who will show up even if the day is bad. They'll show up even if they had a really bad night the night before and a long night and their spouse is sick. They'll still show up at work because they're loyal to the company. But see, that used to be reciprocated in the form of pensions and retirement funds and things of that nature. And recently I heard even Delta pilots, people who went straight out of the military and into flying for Delta, and they flew for the rest of their lives, their pension is gone. So there's no loyalty left from company to employee. It's waning from employee to company. But it's also failing in families and in smaller, tight-knit circles of relationship, like a mentor to their mentee. And that represents to me an enormous challenge. The idea that a simple mistake would sever a relationship, that the relationship wasn't solid enough in the first place to survive a mistake, a bad judgment, a day of bad attitude that got into bad actions that became a bad habit. See, a relationship should be able to withstand those things. So my challenge to you as leaders is that you begin to look for those relationships in both directions. Both those that lead you, that are willing to look at you and say, even if you screw up, I got your back. And also to look for those that you lead, to whom you would be willing to say, even if you screw up, I got your back. There's a lot of leadership power in the aspect of influence that rests in that loyalty that says, no matter what happens, I'm with you. I will still coach you. I will still lead you. I will still employ you. I will still love you, even if you screw up. Now, obviously, there's legal ramifications and common sense that have to apply. There are certain things that people do because it's in their nature that you can't be associated with. It doesn't mean you can't love them. Doesn't mean you can't love them. Maybe you can't hang out anymore, can't go to dinner, can't be at their house, can't have them on your employee payroll. Doesn't mean you can't love them. And if that's a conversation that intrigues you or frightens you, go to my website, jlorennorris.com/coach, and let's spend some time together, because I'd love to chat with you about the idea of unconditional love as a leader and the power it holds in those relationships. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.